All right. The cult. I'm going to be honest with you. There's still a lot I don't know. But what I'm getting is, and I'll learn this later, I'm sure, about how somehow I'm connected to this church that portrays himself to be a religious organization, but they actually worship the devil. And basically, I'm going to be honest with you, like, it's hard for me because it's like I kind of know who the key players is. I know there'll be a lot to learn, so as I go, I'll kind of let you know. But basically, I left my marriage, and it broke me down. He was a covert narcissist, and it was like 16 years with a man who, when we started out, we were like best friends. We were like two peas in a pod, like just a great relationship. Started as friendship, and then we started dating, and everything was great, right? And all of a sudden, things, right when we moved in together, things got really bad. And to the point where it was like, we moved out of the town, the mountains, and I was feeling lonely, and we weren't like getting along at all. I would catch him with other women, having lunch, but I would catch him in a lot of lies. Let's just say it was finances, or it was, him lying about talking to somebody, right? And so in that marriage, we moved about 30 minutes away from all my friends and family and everything. And it sucked because I was away from my friends then. And then I had a man that was kind of ignoring me. And something triggered a severe depression in me right before we moved in together. And I'm going to tell you the story that I know now. Basically, my aunt, who has been basically someone that has pretended to be like a mother to me, but basically was not. She was a satanic person that was belonging to some sort of a cult, and to the point where I was constantly being attacked spiritually, like witchcraft, rituals. And I don't know when this religious organization came into my life, but it was definitely more because of inheritance that was left to me when I was about 18 years old. And I'm hearing it was millions. And so somehow they were getting this money in some way, in certain aspects or whatever, basically. And so what I didn't realize, and I don't know this yet, is that my aunt might have known the woman that was the mother of this man, that my ex-husband. If they didn't know each other, then basically this matriarch of my ex-husband's family was a dark witch. And did she belong in this cult for a long time? I don't know, but I know she was a dark witch. She started putting witchcraft on me and my ex, and which caused our relationship to go into a complete and total failure. It caused him to go out and cheat and sleep with all these other women, possibly men, I'm hearing. And then for me, it made me be repulsed by him. I didn't want to have sex with him. And I was like struggling because I'd moved in with this man, and now what do I do? And I don't know if my aunt and this woman were working together, but I also know that my aunt was actually doing spell work, and has been my whole life, on me at the same time. So I was so happy, and it was like I had a job I loved. I finally met this man that I was so excited about, that this was being the man I married. I was very happy. And then all of a sudden it was like it completely crumbled. No therapist could help me, no doctor could help me. I was in a dark depression, and I was lashing out. And I think it's like my mother-in-law realized that I wasn't going to conform, being a woman who serves a man, a woman who not necessarily serves the man, it'll look that way. But basically she was using the women in her family. She had 3 daughters and me, but she teaches these women how to use men for money, for gain, financial gain. And what I'm hearing too is that she possibly had her own daughters having sexual relationships with her sons, she had 4 sons. And it was like on the surface, they looked very sweet, generous, volunteers, churchgoers, all kinds of every good thing. But behind the scenes, this was a cult. And this woman was teaching her daughters how to serve a man and to get finances. But her daughters weren't dating anyone. They weren't going anywhere. They were just all kind of stuck on their mom, which was really weird. And her sons were kind of the same way, except for they were being catered to by their sisters and their mother. But no one found real love except for like 1, maybe 2. And it was just a strange dynamic. Abby, come here. Come here. Come on. Sorry. Abby. So I didn't fit in with this family, she realized. Because I don't serve the man. I mean, my family, we basically, if it's holidays, we're out there cooking and cleaning while the guys are outside, like kind of watching the kids, but yet like, you know, helping out in some aspect. And this was literally like Stepford Wives, if that's what, literally, that's how it felt. So being in this relationship with this man, it was just like slowly deteriorating, and it just started. And our marriage wasn't good. He started treating me like my voice didn't matter. He started treating me with disrespect. He lied to me all the time. And it was like I married this man and I was like, who the hell is this? This is not who I married. And, you know, if I was all dressed and felt really cute about it, and, you know, and he probably thought, oh, she's looking good. He would be like, oh, I hope nobody looks at you, you know, and, oh, you know, it's kind of tight or whatever, you know, and that went on for years. And then it was like to the point where I wouldn't feel loved or have attention or that I could talk to him. He would always turn it around and be like, well, you do that too, you know? And so then I'd be like, oh, well, okay, I guess we'll just negate what I'm saying, like gaslighting. And if I caught him in a lie, he would continue the lie, even though it was so obvious and the evidence was there. He would continue the lie, no doubt about it. Because he was always portrayed, he was the youngest of 7 kids, and she said he was never punished, never disciplined for anything, and basically his siblings kind of took care of him. So it was like siblings taking care of siblings. And he was very catered to. So whatever his mom taught him was that I shouldn't be speaking about my feelings, especially if those feelings are making him feel uncomfortable because it's about him. And that's a definite narcissistic thing. And so all the years with this man was just, I was alone and he was in the same house as me. And we became separate. Like I was upstairs, he was downstairs spending our day. There was no happiness there, but we would go to parties and barbecues and weddings of our friends, and no one knew. I think everyone aspired to like be a couple like this because we just never said anything to anyone about it, you know? And I found out, you know, that his mother had a big part in the demise of our wedding, our relationship, everything. I didn't know until later that it was because of witchcraft. So, and the other part I didn't know was that actually brothers and sisters were sleeping with each other, having sex, and this is why it would almost cause the daughters to not really ever get in a relationship, and the sons the same thing. It was a very strange thing, and I feel like my guides are going to start telling me about the strange things, but the incest was there. So it was basically just like years of me not knowing that this woman basically told my ex-husband to have affairs, like okayed it. So he was having affairs and she was forcing him to do that. She wanted our relationship to be done because I wasn't conforming to her ways. But then she also, on top of it, what I'm hearing, was very jealous of me. She saw a light in me that she didn't like. She was jealous of it. So on top of that, behind the scenes, she's attacking me with spell work. She made me gain weight, my beauty, everything. This woman And I don't, again, know if my aunt was involved in this until later, but on this other side of it, my aunt was actually doing spell work on me too. So basically, I'm staying with this man and I don't know why. And I'm being tortured because it's like, I know he's doing stuff. I know he's treating me this way, but I just, my self-esteem was broken. And it literally got to the point where after we had our daughter, that I couldn't stand him. Like, I pushed everything aside because he wouldn't talk about it. And he, especially if it was anything against him, and he would push me aside and treat me like I was nothing. If he was asking for directions and one guy said, oh, you go this and this and this, and then I said, oh, actually, this is a quicker way, always would go with the other person. And it wasn't because, it could have been because he doesn't trust me, but it was also because he wanted me to feel like I don't amount to anything. And he was being taught by his mother to do this, but he's also a narcissist, to do this, to break me, to make me conform to what a woman's place is. But yet in her eyes, in her place, she was the evil queen. She was the queen of everything. So everybody had to do what she said. And that's what she was. And I'll be honest with you, I got along with the dad, but I think her husband knew. Outright, I feel like he knew. And he just kept quiet. And I went like that for years. And I was so depressed on and off. And it was erratic and no one could help me. And I was suicidal and all this stuff. And then one day, I think it was about 2018 or 16, I'd had enough and I was so unhappy. And I think someone triggered something in me because I was like, well, I can't leave my daughter with a broken marriage. And she was basically saying, you're doing more destructive things to your daughter by not being away from him, because that's how she's gonna think love is, right? And she says, and she's what, 6 years old now? She's not gonna change. 7 years old now, that's how she's gonna envision love. No, like, loving each other, hugging each other, how to, make up after a fight, nothing. She's never gonna see that. And so that was the kicker for me, and I finally left. And even though he wanted to try, I gave him a try. But I think he was only doing this because his mother was doing witchcraft on him, and also saying, well, we don't want another divorce under our belt, because all of them were getting divorced. So I finally got out of it, right? And left, and was so excited to start my life. But then what I'm finding out later was like, this mother-in-law and my ex-husband and my own daughter were basically, Margaret, my ex-mother-in-law, was just feeding them little bits and pieces about me. And she was doing this to my ex-husband a while ago, but then slowly over time, my daughter, just about your mother. Your mother's kind of weak. Your mother's this. Your mother has always got a depression problem. It was this ongoing thing. And it's triggered me now because this is the way that my mother put my brother against me. And so this woman behind the scenes was slowly just breaking our marriage up by the little things that she would say, and slowly taking my daughter away from me. And I had no idea. After our divorce, there were times where my daughter would say things like, well, they told me you had an affair. And I was like, what? Who said that? I've never had an affair. And I would tell him, you tell your mom not to say anything in front of her or whatever. So what was going on behind the scenes, I had no idea that it was so dark and so ugly. And the hardest part for me was that I was going through this, being attacked spiritually, and it kept me in a depression and dark, and it kept me to be emotionally away from my daughter from like birth till now. And I neglected her. I was focused on my depression. I was focused on what was going on. I was struggling, everything. And so I was neglecting her, and she needed me after the divorce, and I was not there. Not there. So I left, so basically after the divorce, you know, it really went into full effect. And then what I'm hearing was that possibly my ex-husband had been having sex with my daughter starting at a very young age. And not just that, her uncle Justin, it's a brother of my ex, was having sex with her from the get-go. I'm even thinking 2. And I wasn't there to save her. And I was losing her on a daily basis, and they were slowly having her do things to me. Abby, come here, Abby! And stealing things from me, giving them information as to what I was doing, what was my health like, what was I acting like, what would I say. But in the meantime, like literally saying all these things, you know. And she was broke. She needed me and I wasn't there. And and she wanted that. She was doing witchcraft on my own daughter, witchcraft on me. And yeah, she was being molested by her own father and her own brother, and I don't know if there were others. Until like after our divorce, I found porn, that she was watching porn that was sent to her. They were grooming her and had been grooming her for a long time. And so then I find out later that this is an actual cult family that belongs to a religious organization, to where, again, they believe in this Satan, and they actually involve themselves in RICO crimes and all of this stuff that basically they gang stalk people. They put them under surveillance and they make their life a living hell. And then so they're not noticing what's going on around their life while their finances are dropping. They're basically stealing from these people, hacking into their accounts, stealing things, doing things to the mothers to make them go crazy. And in the meantime, trafficking the kids. And this is what my ex and his mother and family were involved in. I had no idea. I knew the family was off, and I definitely didn't have a good feeling about the mother, always, the whole time. There was something about her that I was like, no, I don't like her. And she was nice. So basically, it was kind of set up to just do things behind the scenes. So my ex was like calling into jobs and getting me fired, calling in, to my apartments and getting me in trouble. Like, it was just this thing, this family was like, and I had no idea. I thought I was so excited and I was away from this family, but they were doing these things to me behind the scenes, like slowly destroying my life. And what the whole point of it was, the mother was teaching my ex-husband was that she needs to learn her place. So we're going to break her down so that she feels like she has no other alternative than to ask for you to come and take her back. And then you will be able to treat her any way that you want to, so that she, so she knows her place. She needs to know her place. So this whole thing of doing all of this to me was because I wasn't going to be this woman that was like going to serve the man and the man didn't have to do shit back. And that's what she wanted. And so that was her revenge on me. And then she started doing spell work, I guess, on my ex-husband to get him to do these things. Like, this woman behind the scenes was literally like constructing and destroying our own lives behind the scenes and playing off this nice woman. So yeah, basically I had cameras put in my home and they were trafficking my daughter. It was a church cult in Denver. And I don't know if this church cult was part of, like, with my aunt and uncle, or if this, again, there's bits and pieces I'm finding out. And it just, over time, and it took me years to finally figure it out, and there's still stuff I know I don't know. So I escaped the marriage, but didn't escape the cult. And they were slowly destroying, like, she didn't like my daughter's light. And she actually encouraged the incest. And she encouraged her own sons to do sex with my daughter. Her own son to his own daughter. And this is what she was doing behind the scenes. And the thing of it is, she didn't like my daughter's light. She knew my daughter had a mission or purpose on this planet. She wanted to destroy that just like she wanted to me, because she was like, why didn't I get that? Why don't I get to be a divine being? Why don't I get to have spiritual gifts? Well, because you're a Satanistic, ritualistic piece of shit. So that's basically where my story kind of started. And I'm still kind of in it. I am having faith that I can get out of this. I'm surrounded by a hacker. Rexy, come here. Rex, come here. I'm surrounded by a hacker. I've got gang stalkers all around me in the apartment. I can't go anywhere. Like right now, I have 2 people in cars just sitting in their car, running with heat, you know, with AC going on for no reason. Just sitting there around me watching me because my phones are hacked. So that's kind of my story in regards to what I'm hearing too is there's a lot of families out there that involve themselves in Freemasonry and join cults to aid in trafficking. And I had married into this, and I was actually born into this. So I'm still trying to figure out the lesson, the past life karma from this. I'm still working on that. But this story is just now kind of what a family that's involved in a cult can do to you and your child. So I'm hoping to God that none of you have ever had to deal with this. And if you have, like, I'm so sorry. Because my heart has been torn out and dragged out for years. But I know I have faith. I'm getting out of this. I hope they run out of money or resources or whatever, but my lease is up at the end of this month and I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do, because this woman has a vendetta against me that is bad. And she's got the money that she actually, and she has an inheritance actually of mine too, a second one that she took from me, and he's utilizing that money to basically destroy me. So yeah, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like this is something that's going to resonate with a lot of people. And this is just something that we really need to watch out, especially for our kids, because if I could take that back, my God, I would have spoke up. I would have done anything. She had me in a place where I was under an illusion, where I was not noticing what was going on with my own kid. And that's black magic voodoo shit that she does.